Hey guys, it's Destiny, and today I wanted to talk about Argenti. Mainly reasons why I honestly think you might want to skip him depending on if you're a newer player or an older player. There's a reason I'm saying this, and I'll get into it later on in the video. But if you guys do enjoy videos like these, make sure to subscribe and also hit that like button to also support the video. Without further ado, let's get straight into it. So I thought I'd begin with the positives of Argenti because I think it's definitely a case where it depends on what's on your account. But I thought let's go over the positives first, and then we'll get into the reasons why you may just want to skip out on Argenti in general. So when it comes to the positives, Argenti is definitely looking to be a very strong AOE physical damage dealer. If you are lacking a good damage dealer, I'm 100% sure that Argenti is going to be really good for that purpose for your account. He could be a really great option, especially if you do not have Clara. I know a lot of us still don't have Clara since she is a standard banner character, and the only way to honestly guarantee a standard banner character is through the 300 selector. So if you don't have Clara, Argenti can fill in that slot for a AoE physical damage dealer. Also, the reason why I mentioned new players or older players is Argenti's really good for the new players who need a main DPS. Then Argenti could definitely be the one for you, and his value on your account is definitely significantly higher than someone who may already have a bunch of damage dealers, which is something I'll get into a little later on as well. Another cool thing about Argenti is that he's definitely a really cool character in design. If you're interested in his design, that's a plus for him, of course, which can be said about most of our characters. If you're into how they look, then that's a reason alone that they're great for you. He also has an interesting ult mechanic, which is that he has the double ult from what we've seen from the live stream. So these are things that can make you want Argenti, but now I kind of want to get into reasons why you don't want Argenti. The reason I mention new players or older players is because if you are an older player, and by this I mean maybe you started since day one, maybe you started in 1.1, maybe even 1.2. I don't feel like Argenti is honestly as needed because from how I look at Argenti, he, once again, looks like a great damage dealer. I don't honestly think he provides more than that. And what I mean by this is when it comes to our other damage dealers, yeah, a lot of them focus on primarily damage, but some of them have more unique mechanics that allow them to have a bit more future proofing within their kits, and also more value when it comes to teams in general. Two characters I can immediately think of when I say this is Kafka and Topaz. Kafka is basically a damage over time enabler in a sense because she detonates it. So anytime we get more damage over time characters, Kafka is likely going to be on that team. You slap on a Kafka, you slap on your new damage over time character, and you go to town. So that's always going to be a great thing. I even made a video recently about Kafka, just how good she is, especially for the future. Topaz is another character I can say this about. While Topaz is really hit or miss from what I've seen for a lot of people, she helps our follow-up attackers. So the next follow-up attacker we have, depending on how they function, Topaz will be able to provide for them. Characters like Kafka and Topaz offer more than just being hypothetically a main damage dealer on your team. They offer utility in the case of other characters as well because of how their skill kits operate. Also, of course, you already have Clara. In the previous point for the positives, if you don't have Clara, it's good because then Argenti definitely has more value in the case of a physical damage dealer. You already have Clara though. I don't personally think there's as strong as a need for Argenti if you already have that physical AoE damage dealer. He also has really high ultimate costs because of the fact that, well, if he can double his ultimate, then he will have a higher ultimate cost. This should be fine with Ting Yun, honestly, like since Ting Yun can give you a good amount of energy. So I'm sure this will help out Argenti as well when it comes to team comps. But of course, if you don't use Ting Yun with him, I'm sure it will definitely take longer to take advantage of the double ultimate. And just overall, I think Argenti looks great, but there's been a lot of DPS banners that have already happened. So if you are that day one player, that day two player, day two, wow. If you are that day one player or that second patch, third patch, whatever it may be, and you already have a good amount of damage dealers, Argenti may just not be as valuable for you. And that brings me to 1.6. Ruan Mei Ratio, or rather Dr Ratio, and Xueyi. Main one I wanted to discuss is primarily Ruan Mei, but I'll go over all of them just for my thoughts on them. These are going to be our 1.6 characters. This has already been drip marketed, and the live stream will happen, I believe, sometime a little bit after Argenti's release. So once that happens, it will just give 100% confirmation and also fully what they do. But Ruan Mei will be our first Ice Harmony character. She's our first limited Harmony character, and I'm going to be honest, she's probably going to be busted. I'm just going to be straight up. The reason I'm saying that, every character that has been coming out has some form of a new function or mechanic within their kit. Examples can be Topaz, Proof of Debt, Argenti, Double Ultimate, Hanya with her burden and how she regenerates the skill points with the burden. All of our characters recently have been getting some form of new mechanic. So it's very likely Ruan Mei will have something new to her. And since she's our first limited Harmony, it's extremely likely that she will be very powerful for teams. Ice characters will be able to benefit because Ruan Mei will be our first Ice Harmony character. This light cone right here will be good for characters like Yang Cheng, Herta, Jing Liu, since they can benefit from the damage increase that Ruan Mei will be able to provide for ice characters with that light cone. She likely will also rival our current Harmony characters by quite a lot, which will give you a reason to pull her in comparison to our current Harmony characters, since the current ones are already honestly really good. We have Ting Yun, we have soon to be Hanya, we already have Baranya, and so on. All of our Harmony characters for the most part have something that make them really, really good, depending on what team you're using them on. So I feel like when they're designing Ruan Mei and they're going to release her, especially as our first limited Harmony character, they need to make a reason for people to actually want to pull her. What I mean by this is, you can look at it from a design factor. I think her design is great. I know some people are iffy about her design, but design, in my opinion, is good so far. But in her actual kit, she has to be able to provide something that will actually make you want to pull her. It likely might be a new function. She'll be able to provide something that the other Harmony characters have not been able to provide. Maybe it's super massive buffs to the team. Whatever it may be, I think she'll likely be very good depending on what they do reveal. And once again, that live stream will be happening during Argenti's banner. So that'll be something to consider as well if you want to wait it out and see fully what she does to see if she does have some sort of new thing or if she just looks kind of bland. Then you can wait a little and then just see the live stream and make a decision from there. I'm going to just go quickly over Ratio and Xueyi as well. Ratio is going to be our first imaginary hunt character, which depending on what he does, he likely will be very strong depending on what comps will synergize with him. I can't say too much because when it comes to our DPS characters, I really need to know their kit to make an inference, I guess, of like how good they might be. So that'll have to wait until the live stream. I'll give my thoughts then, depending on what he does. Xueyi is Quantum Destruction, which means now we have another Quantum Damage dealer. So far, basically all of our Quantum Damage dealers, which we don't really have much, but so far they've all been pretty good. She could be another user for Mono Quantum if that is an interest of yours. And I think overall, she'll likely be very strong, but it does depend on what she does. Now, if we do see her kit and she is really strong, then that can also be another main DPS damage dealer that can be up in your roster as well. Those are my thoughts on those characters, but once again, as I said, another option can just be saving your polls until that live stream happens. Or if the live stream happens and you still don't like any of these characters, you could probably just wait. Because the great thing about it is we also typically get the drip marketing the same week as the live stream. Because of that, you can make a decision from that as well. Okay, they revealed a really cool character I like for the following update after 1.6. I'd rather go for them. Then that could be really great for you. So it kind of just depends who they reveal in the drip marketing, how the live stream goes. I do recommend waiting until we know all of our options, just so when you do pull, you don't feel, I guess, regret in that, oh, I pulled something, but what sucks is I actually want the next character possibly more now that I know more about them. It happens to all of us, honestly, so that's why I do recommend possibly just waiting until that live stream. To sum everything up, I think Argenti is great for new players who need a new main DPS. Never said he was bad, but I do think when it comes to older players, you already have enough main damage dealers. Once again, no means am I saying Argenti is bad or bad Genti. I don't know what you guys want to call him, but like I'm not saying he's bad. I think he's going to be a very powerful DPS character. But if you're good on DPS characters, I think the newer characters in 1.6 or possibly in the future, depending on who they drip market, will possibly benefit you more. But that is what I personally think about when it comes to Argenti, or I guess 1.6. And once we get the live stream, I will be covering, of course, the kits and just what I think about them when they come to value and team comps in general. But I'd love to know, what do all of you guys think? Are you guys on the fence for going for Argenti? Are you going to pull for him 100%? Or are you saving for future patches? I will be releasing, of course, an Argenti review once he's out, sharing my thoughts on his actual performance and potential, and if he is worth it based on my personal testings. So stay tuned for that. But I just thought I'd share my thoughts on how I'm feeling right now about how the banners are lined up for us coming up for new players, or once again, older players. But of course, if you want Argenti no matter what, then it truly doesn't matter. At that point, I would say to pull for who you want the most, because playing who you want is what matters the most at the end of the day. But if you did enjoy this video, make sure to subscribe, leave a like to support the video. Once again, let me know how you guys feel. And I hope all of you have a great one like always. Peace.